Hello dear chess friends and welcome to our new video. In that video I will present you game played between Efim Bogoljubov and Richard RETI from 1923. A very important game to understand concept of centralization, and you will see how White was brutally punished for neglecting the central principles. Actually, his diversion just helped Black to win game in style. Let's see the game. After e4, e6, d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6. Black goes for so-called Steinitz defense, and after e3, knight fd7. White played queen g4. That move looks dubious, but however that's still playable. Simply that gives nothing White because Black can strike the center immediately and decisive initiative after c5. And we can see White's idea was to play knight b5. So he wants to deflect bishop on d6 after checking and to take on g7. Of course, young Bogoljubov goes for that diversion, too optimistic and just too bad. Black reaction is classy after c takes d, knight f3, knight c6. So how to evaluate the position? It's clearly in Black's favor. And why? Well, Black did not make even one single imprecise move, and White is not just able to go for so-called immediate win because you cannot punish opponent if he does not make mistake. And White is consistent. He played knight d6. Very bad move. Of course, Black takes. Why very bad move? Maybe with bishop f4 White would be still able to organize something, you know, with bishop f4 to overprotect pawn e5, to over control that square and that punct, and Black would be far better, but still that would not be decisive yet. After knight d6 Black is already, I think, winning. But in the game after queen g7, Black allowed mistake. He played bishop e5. Perhaps Black was just dedicated to the concept of centralization and he just tried to find some strategical decision in that position. But the point is, after queen g7, there is so beautiful win after the move bishop b4. Let me show you what happens. So if not bishop e5, if bishop b4, Black will just win the game. That is the check White must do with tempo to get able to take rook on h8, and after d takes, taking, of course Black covers check. King d1 must escape from that pin. cb, bishop takes, and after queen b6 we can see that there is material balance. White has 5 pawns, Black has 6 pawns, so Black is exchange down but pawn up. But of course the most important fact is White is absolutely undeveloped, and with so naked king in the center White cannot survive so long. So Black wants just to finish development with bishop d7, maybe casting, maybe rook c8, threatening check on a4 with absolutely winning position. Even White queen as active piece is in the corner, so there is nothing White can do. After bishop e5, let's see what happened in the game. Black saved the rook with queen f6, and after that we can see White is practically forced to play bishop b5. And now excellent move bishop d7, avoiding the pin and putting some problems into White. So after knight f3, the problem is for Black is he will sooner or later lose that d4 pawn. But let's see about the position. After pawn d4 falls, there will be material balance, but we can see that Black has that powerful central armada, and Black decided with his next move immediately to prepare advancing it. So he did not play such, for instance, bad move. White to force opponent to take if he would be able to take even unforced. So don't waste time for a6, just play knight e6 with idea. After White takes in some moment there will be opposite color bishop, so Black wants just to set pawns on dark squares, they will perfectly fit with bishop placed on c6 and restrict bishop on c1. After that, castling, and here we go, f6. Once again, not a6, just f6. Bishop takes, and once again, excellent move. It is better to take with pawn to support pawn center. And now after knight d4, we can see black can advance the pawns, but still that's not the same. How to do that? After e5, he won't be able to play c5 because there are some problems. Now c5 falls. There is f3. And if black renews that threat, once again, there will be f3. After knight moves, white jumps to c5. And white has real chances to hold that position. Black looks better, but white is not in huge problems. So first c5, do something your opponent cannot, do something your opponent can prevent, and something he can prevent can be done later. After c5, knight e2, king f7. Well, simply black is unable to do bad move. King f7 is good move. e5 is good move instead. Let me show you. e5 is good move. Rook c8 is good move. Rook g8 is good move. Everything is good. So that is just one of more proofs black is dominant in that position. You will see how white neglecting the center will cost him so much in that game. f3, okay, knight goes back. b3, and normally white wants to develop, but black gains space with, of course, e5. And after bishop a3, rook ac8, of course that rook, there is no job for rook on b file. Black other rook belongs, for instance, on d file. And after that, d4. And in that position, I want to stop for a moment. You can see that black has all pawns on dark squares, and now that would be good for you. That picture will be good for you to establish some principles. So if you have pawns on dark squares, keep knight on dark square also. One reason is that knight is safe, that pawns just make that knight safe, supporting it and preventing some diagonal attacks to the knight, and perfectly that knight will fit with that pawns. Pawns will control all dark squares, knight will control all light squares with so important harmony. On other hand, if you have pawns on dark squares, keep bishop light square. So that is how black chose to set pawns. There is light square bishop, he set pawns on dark squares, and knight is also on dark square. Just imagine now if black bishop and knight may swap their places. If bishop is on d6 and knight on d7, both pieces would be horribly passive and black will have problems with holes on light squares. So that is just amazing harmony in black camp. Have knight on pawns colors and bishop not on color of your most pawns. So after d4, we can see harmoniously placed black central troops. Knight c1, white wants to organize something, and here we go. It's time for targeting white position. There is, of course, knight e3, coming move and attacking rooks, and weak pawn on c2, which is declared as a target. After rook f2, knight e3, rook e1, here we go, c4. Opening file for the rook and putting pressure on c2. Absolutely lost position for white. And after that, there is so beautiful maneuver for black. Bishop a4, rook e2, and now so beautiful maneuver. Knight attacks the rook, knight attacks another rook, and now knight attacks bishop, but black did it wrong way. Well, what should be played, dear chess friends? Of course, knight b5, bishop goes there, c3, and that bishop forever would be out of play. As a result, just look, horrible pawn chain of white bishop, making white bishop restricted, and just black would be able to transfer play on the king side with a decisive impact. He will be practically a piece up on the king side. Of course, white bishop will practically don't play anymore. White bishop will not play anymore. Yeah, ante rook f2. Black did the same, but that would not be the same. He did knight b1, but there is of course, bishop b2, and after c3, nice counter trick, knight b3. Now knight b1 is under attack. That was blundered by black. But of course, black still is much better. He found way to realize bishop b3, far the best. Now if rook b1, taking and pawn promotes, black wins. White must take on b3, and now knight goes there, rook e1 and rook hd8. Knight is much better than the bishop, so that's why black decided not to take on b2. Rook d8, and after bishop c1 he perfectly evaluated he can play d3. There are some other solutions, knight b1, knight b3 even, but white to complicate it, just d3 should be winning. C takes, what else? If bishop takes, there is c takes, and after rook d2, d takes c2 with a win. If rook takes, and white cannot find defense against rook d1 with a win. So after d3, taking and taking, bishop d2, there is possible to play c takes. For some reason black took with a rook. And after rook a1, trivial realization, there is possible to play rook f2, but okay, that would be just after king e6, just winning the tempo. Black wants to force white to take on a7 and then to play c2 with a decisive advance. So white played king f1 and now black took on f2, winning important tempo. c2, rook c1, and now black king enters, rook c3 and king d4. Everything was precisely calculated by black. There is nothing white can do because, you know, after rook c2, king c2, black wins after king e3. Black is much faster after king f2, capturing some pawns on the king side with an easy win. White tried in the game with h4, but after rook d3, white just resigned. What's the point? If king e3, king c3 with an easy win. And if king takes, there will be rook c3 and taking. Again, black king invades, or it's possible even to play there. Matter of style, with a win in both cases. So dear chess friends, let's once again remind some important moments. Don't go for flank activities if you did not secure your center well. Queen g4 bad, but knight b5 horrible. And even knight d6 key mistake. Of course black did not use that because he didn't play bishop b4. He took there. And after that we can see that black is better, but very instructive game. Since exchanging the queens moment, very instructive game performed by RETI. I will just pay attention on that diagram, just see how the beautiful black pieces are, and now just to see how white has poorly placed pieces. Rest was brutal realization of RETI, and I really hope you enjoyed that video and you will enjoy our next videos. See you soon, my dear chess friends, and bye bye.